So let's see, Mark. Some viruses are really nasty. Smallpox kills you. Some give you a cold for a few days, and some we never even notice. How come different strategies for different viruses?
Yeah, so I think that the fundamental point is that the virus doesn't have any intent. The virus doesn't have a brain. It's just
does
whatever works best is what will happen.
Works best to do what?
To make copies of itself, to propagate itself. That's sort of the...
So it's got to make copies and get them someplace.
That's right. It has to be transmitted to a new host. So something that we look at a lot in my lab is arthropod-borne viruses. So these are the viruses...
Arthropod is?
Arthropod are mosquitoes, ticks. So
like Zika or...
Zika, West Nile virus, dengue virus, yellow fever virus. So these are all viruses that are called arthropod-borne viruses, and they have their normal life cycle involves alternating replication in a vertebrate like you or I and a mosquito or another arthropod. And these
so interesting that they go back and forth.
It's amazing that this is their normal way of living, is by going back and forth from these very different kinds of organisms. And when you look at
so they've got to suck the blood of a vertebrate that has the virus.
That's right.
Well, actually, the virus has to make sure that something sucks the blood of a vertebrate.
Right.
And then it has to go through the mosquito life stage.
Yeah.
Even as viruses. I mean, I know about malaria, but viruses has to go through that life stage?
They do. So, I mean, their normal transmission involves...
But the virus is the same when the vertebrate and the...
That's right.
So which is different from malaria.
That's right. So the virus has to be able to live, or not live, but to replicate itself in these very different types of organisms. A human is very different from a mosquito. Nevertheless, viruses like Zika have the ability to replicate in the human blood and replicate in a mosquito. And what's more...
That's so cool.
It's so cool. And what's more, in the mosquito, it's not just simply that they're replicating the mosquito. It starts off in the midgut where the blood meal is. So the human's blood is in basically the belly of the mosquito. Then the virus has to replicate in the midgut, get out into the rest of the mosquito, and then it actually traffics, it moves all the way to the mosquito's salivary glands.
So kind of like the rabies thing. It goes where it needs to go to get transmitted.
Absolutely. And so when the mosquito then feeds on a new human, so maybe you're uninfected with Zika, but a mosquito that has been infected by Zika virus lands on you, the virus is in the mosquito's salivary glands, and when it bites you, it injects a little bit of saliva to numb the site that's been bitten and transmits the virus.
So it's almost like the virus turns the mosquito into a zombie that transmits it.
That's right.
Are there a lot of viruses that change the behavior of organisms to their own benefit?
Well, I think rabies is a good example of that. There are definitely some fascinating examples of not viruses that necessarily cause disease in humans, but viruses that infect things like caterpillars. So that one really famous example is there's a virus that infects caterpillars. It causes the caterpillars to climb to the top of trees for some reason. Then the virus becomes the virus kills the caterpillar. It basically becomes liquefied and rains down onto other caterpillars on the forest floor.
Gross.
Super gross, but fascinating and effective.
Huh. So natural selection has shaped viruses to do whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
To get into the next organism.
That's right.
But they don't kill the whole world. Let's go on in just a minute and talk about virulence more specifically.